Picture this. You're swimming in an ancient ocean 400 million years ago. The water is full of weird, tank-like creatures covered in thick bony plates, spikes, and heavy armor that makes them look invincible. Nothing could touch them, or so it seemed. These were the placoderms, the first jawed vertebrates, and one of the biggest was Dunkleosteus, a 30-foot monster with jaws that could crush anything in the Devonian seas. Armor was everywhere back then. Full-body shields on fish, massive shells on early sea creatures. It was the ultimate defense in a world where getting eaten was the daily risk. Fast forward to today, and most animals are squishy. No heavy plates, no unbreakable shells, except for a few holdouts. So what happened? Why did evolution basically say, nah, too much hassle, and ditch all that protection? Why trade unbreakable armor for bodies that seem way more vulnerable? The answer lies in evolution's favorite game, trade-offs. Nature doesn't pick the best trait forever. It picks what works best right now, balancing protection against everything else an animal needs to survive and make babies. Armor was awesome when the world was slow and predators were simple, but as life sped up, the costs got too high. Let's break it down step by step and see why most animals today run, hide, or outsmart instead of tanking hits. If this kind of evolutionary puzzle gets you excited, hit that like button and subscribe because there's more coming. So, let's get right into this. Now, you must have heard about armor, and then you will be wondering, what do we mean by armor in the animal world? Well, an armor is any tough external layer that acts like a shield against predators or the environment. Think of thick exoskeletons in insects and crabs, made of chitin, a tough sugar-protein mix. Bony plates in ancient fish, hard shells in turtles and mollusks, or even embedded armor in some mammals' skin like armadillos or pangolins. Early in life's history, especially during the Age of Fishes in the Devonian period, about 419 to 358 million years ago, armor was king. The seas were dangerous, full of predators with basic jaws and teeth. A heavy shell or bony plate was a lifesaver. It lets animals survive bites, scrapes, or crushing attacks they couldn't dodge or outswim. The placoderms are the perfect example. These were the first jawed fish, and many were fully armored, but not all the same way. Most placoderms were smaller and more lightly built. Take Bothriolipus, a common bottom dweller with boxy armor plates and small ventrally placed mouth for scooping detritus and invertebrates. It was armored for protection while feeding on the seafloor, but nowhere near a top predator. Or Dunkleosteus, a mid-sized arthrodire with decent plates and jaws for hunting smaller prey, but it maxed out at around 20 to 40 centimeters long. Dunkleosteus torelli, the star of the show, was on another level. This beast reached 3.5 to 4.1 meters long, one of the largest placoderms ever, with a head and front body covered in massive interlocking bone plates, like natural tank armor, up to several inches thick in places. Its jaws were self-sharpening blades of bone, no true teeth needed, strong enough to bite through other armored creatures with one of the most powerful bite forces in vertebrate history, estimated up to thousands of pounds per square inch. That combination of size, speed, and crushing power let it dominate the Devonian seas, preying on almost anything, including other placoderms, ammonites, and early sharks. While many armored fish were specialized for different niches, bottom-feeding, planktivorous, or smaller predators, Dunkleosteus was the apex predator of its time, ruling for millions of years because nothing could challenge it. Armor wasn't just about stopping attacks. In some cases, it helped with other things, storing minerals, regulating temperature, or even aiding buoyancy in water. But the main job was defense. When predators were slow and couldn't crack hard shells easily, armor was a winning strategy. It bought time to reproduce and pass on genes. But here's where it gets interesting. Armor is expensive, and evolution is all about trade-offs. You gain one thing, but you pay for it somewhere else. Heavy armor has big downsides that eventually made it a bad deal for most animals. First, the energy cost is huge. Building thick plates or shells takes a ton of resources: calcium, proteins, minerals from food. Growing and maintaining armor is like running a constant construction project on your body. That energy could go to growing faster, building muscles, developing a bigger brain, or producing more offspring. In a world with limited food, animals that waste energy on unnecessary armor get outcompeted by ones that save it for other survival tricks. Second, mobility suffers badly. Thick plates make you stiff and slow. In water, you're heavy and hard to maneuver. Turning, chasing prey, or escaping becomes tough. On land, it's even worse. Imagine sprinting in full medieval plate armor. You tire quickly, can't dodge well, and predators that are faster or smarter can run circles around you. Finally, reproduction takes a hit. Animals with heavy armor often grow slower because so much energy goes into the shield. They reach adulthood later, produce fewer eggs or babies, and have less left over for caring for young. Evolution loves quick reproduction in risky environments. Better to have lots of kids and hope some survive than invest everything in one heavily protected offspring that might still get eaten. However, as predators evolved, armor became less reliable. Early on, simple bites couldn't crack it, but predators got creative. Some developed drills, acids, or crushing jaws. Armored snails evolved ways to bore through shells. Fish got stronger bites. Once predators specialized in beating your defense, that invincible armor turned into a liability. You're slow and stiff, so when the armor fails, you can't run away. These aren't small costs. They're life or death setbacks. When the environment changed, new predators, new habitats, food shortages, the benefits of constant heavy armor dropped, while the downsides piled up. But to really understand everything we have been saying, let's look at real animals that show this shift from armored ancestors to lighter forms, classic examples of evolution in action. The three-spined stickleback fish is the superstar here. Their marine ancestors had full bony armor plates and spines, protection against big fish predators. When some colonized freshwater lakes after the last ice age, about 10,000 to 20,000 years ago, everything changed. Lakes had fewer big fish predators, but more insects and dragonfly larvae that grabbed soft spots. Plus, freshwater has less calcium for building plates. In these new lakes, sticklebacks that lost most armor, plates and spines, had a huge advantage. They grew faster, swam better, escaped insect grabs easier, and reproduced more. The energy saved from not building plates went to quick growth and more babies. Today, most freshwater sticklebacks are sleek and almost naked compared to their armored ocean cousins, a perfect example of rapid, repeated armor loss across hundreds of lakes worldwide. Here are side-by-side comparisons. Marine sticklebacks with full plates versus freshwater ones that are smooth and fast. The change happened in just thousands of years, super quick on evolutionary timescales. Another case study, modern fast swimmers like sharks and tuna. Their ancestors had more bony armor, but they evolved lightweight cartilage skeletons and streamlined bodies. No heavy plates, just speed, senses, and power. If they strike first, no need for constant defense. Turtles are the big holdouts. They kept their shells. But even among turtles, there's variation. Box turtles have heavy domed shells for full protection on land. Soft-shell turtles have lighter, leathery shells for fast swimming and burying in mud. They trade some defense for mobility in water. It's a compromise. Full armor works in slow, safe niches, but lighter versions win in active ones. In insects and other arthropods, early forms had thicker exoskeletons, but many groups, like stick insects, evolved thin, flexible bodies with camouflage instead. Even mammals show this pattern. Early relatives of armadillos were completely encased in heavy, bony armor. Today, armadillos still carry part of that protective shell, but many of their distant relatives, including pangolins and other extinct armored mammals, shed the weight, evolving lighter, flexible bodies to hide, escape, and move with surprising agility. changing environments delivered the final push. Toward the end of the Devonian period, mass extinctions wiped out many heavily armored specialists, not because armor failed outright, but because it locked species into a narrow way of surviving. When conditions shifted rapidly, those organisms couldn't adapt fast enough. The oceans themselves were changing, becoming faster, more crowded, and far more competitive. At the same time, predators were evolving just as quickly. Jaws grew stronger and more precise, bodies became faster and more maneuverable. Some predators even began to hunt cooperatively, a strategy we see perfected today in animals like orcas. Once predators specialized in crushing shells and armor, what was once protection turned into a liability. Heavy plating slowed prey down, drained energy, and made escape nearly impossible. In contrast, environments with few predators tell a different story. In predator-free lakes, for example, stickleback fish rapidly lose their armor. With no immediate threats, natural selection relaxes, and maintaining costly defenses no longer makes sense. Over generations, those traits simply fade away. Evolution ultimately favored flexibility. Animals that could run, hide, camouflage, or outthink their enemies gained the upper hand. Armor still works in stable, low-threat environments, but across most ecosystems, speed, adaptability, and intelligence consistently outperform brute defense. Bottom line, evolution abandoned heavy armor because of trade-offs and natural selection. Armor was great when predators were basic and the world slow. But as life sped up, faster hunters, changing habitats, limited resources, the costs outweighed the benefits. Armor is rigid, hard to change quickly. Soft, adaptable bodies won out because they offered real advantages. Smarter brains for problem solving and learning, faster bodies for evasion and pursuit, more efficient reproduction, quicker growth, more offspring, better camouflage to avoid detection, and social groups for protection and hunting. We traded unbreakable shells for the ability to outadapt threats. That's why most life today is glass cannon. Fragile, but fast, smart, and everywhere. But one question still lingers. If armor was such a bad idea for most animals, why do a few still keep it? Turtles with their unbreakable shells, pangolins rolling into armored balls, crabs roaming the seafloor wrapped in external armor, survivors of a slow but stubborn strategy. What's their secret to making heavy armor worth the cost in today's fast-moving world? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're enjoying these evolutionary mysteries, check out our previous video. We dive into the weirdest deep-sea creatures that look like they came from another planet, glowing horrors, impossible adaptations, and things that make armor look tame. You won't believe what's lurking down there. So hit like, share with a friend, and subscribe for more. See you at the next one.